There we go. We're good to go.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is a meeting of the Baltimore City Board of Ethics for Wednesday, October 11, 2023. It's 2:35 p.m. My name is Stephen Fogelman. I'm the chair. I need to let you know that all participants in the public session of the board meeting acknowledge and consent to the video and audio recording of the public session and the publication of the recording on the board's website and social media account. Per the Open Meetings Act, the board discloses that it adjourned its virtual open meeting on September 13, 2023 to enter the administrative session at approximately 2:59 p.m. 3 board members were present. Members Sampson and McCauley were absent. Members discussed administrative matters, including complaints. Likewise, today, the board may need to close some or all of this meeting to preserve the confidentiality mandated by the Ethics Code or is otherwise authorized by the State Open Meetings Act. Likewise, upon adjournment of the open session, the board may reconvene for an administrative session to discuss non-public administrative functions of the board. All right, good afternoon. We have a little bit on the agenda today. Does anybody have a stopping time? Good afternoon, Arnold.
Good afternoon. Sorry.
All right, so I don't hear of anybody needing to get out of here at a certain time, but obviously we're going to try to roll through our work today. We need to approve our written minutes of September 13th, the public session. Do I have any discussion on that? Does anybody?
No discussion from me. I was not there, so I won't be voting on those minutes.
That's noted. Thank you. All right.
Arnold wasn't there either. I
believe it was just me.
Yeah. So.
Which is why I won't be voting as well.
All right, fair enough. We're going to pass that until we get a quorum from last time, so to speak. So
yes.
That being moved, do we want to go ahead and go straight to new business with our guest, Ms. Lee?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for being here.
Sure, absolutely.
Tell us about the Peacemobile.
Oh, hey, I'd be happy to. So October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I'm over at the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. We focus on intimate partner violence prevention. And throughout the month of October, we have a number of events and activities that we're doing. One of the ideas that we had, or one of the initiatives, is to do sort of a donation drive in benefit of our domestic violence providers and programs that offer shelter and or pantry services. And the initiative or drive would be bringing out the Muncie Peacemobile, which many of you may be familiar with. Then Muncie Peacemobile comes to the community. It offers resources. There are things on the mobile that are for victims of any type of violence, including domestic violence. And we want to be able to use that as a place for drop off for these donations. The donations would not be of any monetary there would not be any money or transactional fiscal donations. It would only be goods and goods like diapers and things that a pantry or shelter would use. And we want to do that on the site of a grocery store. So we've often seen other agencies do that in front of the Weis or the Giant. And we've chose 2 locations. We've now narrowed it down to 1, which is at 33rd Street Giant in Baltimore City, which has given their approval. Subject to the approval of the board, of course. And so that would be, we did need to change the date, if approved, to November 11th. So it's going to be a little bit outside of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, since when I wrote that original application. Happy to answer any questions.
So just to be clear, there's no money involved.
No money involved. No money.
You're sitting there and hoping people will drop things off.
Correct.
Right. All right, so we don't have to worry about accounting for all the funds. You're assuming 5,000 or less. Is that what you're saying?
In terms of goods, yeah. So people, diapers, things like that. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
Just a comment. Sounds like a great idea, great cause.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, actually.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Lee. All
right.
right. Thank you. Yep. It's always good to have somebody here to give a face to a request.
Oh,
We
I appreciate it. That was painless. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you. Steve, I do have one question for the board about that waiver.
Yeah.
So basically the law requires for these waivers to have a third party account for the donations. There aren't any monetary donations, and it might be very difficult because it's in kind to have kind of a third party involved. So they, on their application, they didn't designate a fiscal sponsor. And I was just curious if the board finds that that's fine, that they account for their own donations, or if they need to have someone else involved.
Somebody to do a valuation of the value of diapers.
Right.
To break
Exactly. So, I mean, it seems kind of unnecessary, but I just wanted to mention it because the law does say that there has to be this third party fiscal sponsor, and I wasn't quite sure how it would apply here.
I mean, yeah, community fund, I mean, foundation. Yeah, I mean, we don't want to break the law. That's for sure. We don't, but anybody got any thoughts, John? Noel? Arnold?
Well, I'm wondering if, it does seem like an overkill to have a third-party fiscal sponsor for this kind of in-kind donation. I wonder if they can just, in some way, well, I don't really have any suggestions, honestly. I just don't.
Could they-
Oh, sorry, ladies first.
Thank you.
Sure.
Could they essentially partner with maybe like House of Ruth or something as a fiscal sponsor?
Perhaps,
Uh-huh.
go ahead, Arnold. Sorry.
How about the giant that they're going to be sitting beside?
That's true.
It's right there. I mean, and it's not going to cost the giant much of anything. It's just the giant is given permission to have the truck located there, the Peacemobile or whatever that was called. So why not have them just simply ask the giant to serve as a third-party sponsor?
Would that put obligations on that particular giant to file forms and keep track of things? If it did, that might be a negative.
The answer is to John as no, because the young lady we saw is pretty smart, and if there's any form that needs to be completed, she'll do it for them. They may have to sign it, but she'll prepare it for them, I'm sure. Good
Yeah,
question, I think.
So typically, just like Arnold saying, the fiscal sponsor would review the reports for accuracy and sign off on them. I mean, we could also kind of just note in the approval letter that they should have, a third party accounting, and they could decide from there, unless the board would want to approve whoever it is. I don't know. It's a bit of a strange situation.
All right, so it's not a chair. I mean, it is the government. It is the city. It's the city's truck, right?
Well, so actually it would be the mayor's office of neighborhood safety engagement truck, I believe. So, I mean, it could be someone from a different agency.
Yeah, I'd be totally fine. But we don't want to draft. It's kind of what John says. We don't want to, make somebody do this who doesn't know anything about it. That's all. We might have let her go too early, quite frankly, Mara.
I know, I should have mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
I could try. Oh, go ahead.
With them, I mean, because a sponsor this is all post fundraising as far as monitoring what we have and accounting for what we have. So I am fine with what you said earlier about send them a letter saying it's approved, but you need a fiscal sponsor. Kind of put it on them and say, call the office if you have any questions, but this could be, another agency. This could be just anybody. This could be the giant, if Giant's willing to, to take that role. So, I mean, I don't want to, this is another law school, exam question or bar exam question. So I would just say, let's approve it, but let's remind them they need, even though it's in kind, they need a fiscal sponsor.
But also in that letter, let us be real clear about what that fiscal sponsor, what the qualifications are, or what that fiscal sponsor might look like. If the Giant doesn't want to do it, typically Giants are now being provided security by Wolf Security, who the same people who run Gumtree out in Owings Mills. I'll bet you that the Wolf Security would serve as a fiscal sponsor, and if it turns out they need that, I know someone who's a partner in that, Karen Becker, and I will gladly inquire or ask her if need be. And so I'll defer. However, the member just defers to Madam Noel.
Thank you. One other thought is a neighborhood association, like Waverly Main Street, may be a good option.
Great idea.
And maybe we could put those suggestions in the letter.
Super idea.
Sure, I could circulate kind of this draft letter to you all and include those suggestions, and you could let me know if I kind of capture what the idea. Also, even like the civic fund, I know the civic fund has accounted for in-kind donations in the past. They do most of the waivers. So I don't know if they might already have a relationship with the civic fund. So perhaps just having someone from the civic fund involved would be helpful.
I think that's preferable because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They've done it before, you say. So I think you should definitely steer them in that direction.
Okay.
You know,
Of course, other groups are going to say, well, what is exactly we're doing? Whereas Civic Fund will be like, okay, it's another one.
Yeah, they've done it a million times.
I wonder if it might be better if you just said in the letter, Mara, that they need a fiscal sponsor, third-party fiscal sponsor, and you'd have some suggestions to discuss with her if she wanted to talk with you, rather than offering up names of people we haven't vetted or sort of volunteering people who haven't volunteered. And then you can go over different choices like the ones that have been raised by Noel and Arnold and Stephen.
You got it. All right. I'll move to approve this request as discussed. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor of the approval as discussed, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right. That's 4. And we might as well, you want to stay with new business public and go with the National Forum?
And I actually believe, so Aaron DeGraff, right, he's a general counsel for city council. He's on the line for the council president's toy drive, if we want to jump to that one.
Sure, let's do that.
So
Mr.
Steve.
DeGraff and Wright. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We always love to talk about the toy drive. It's always a good thing. It lights up City Hall. Tell us a little bit more.
Yes, absolutely. So this board has approved the toy drive for the last 2 years that the council president's office has run in conjunction with the prior fiscal sponsor that we worked with was the movement team. And so as you alluded to, the toy drive collects in-kind donations from donors from across the city, outside the city, and they collect the toys and other items for Baltimore City families here at City Hall and at other locations as they where they're going about soliciting. And this year we are switching the fiscal sponsor to be with the Associated Black Charities, in large part because what the movement team specialized in is running the toy drive and connecting families to the donations, and they're still going to be a part of that process. We're still going to work with them. My understanding from the community affairs liaison folks is that the movement team is still going to be a partner in this, in bringing students and families to the donations, but ABC is they're business is more of the accounting variety. And so we had, it was not as easy to work with the movement team on the just sort of communicating the accounting and all of that in the last year. So ABC, we had a couple of meetings with them and the president, and they are all on board. And in fact, they have for their oversight, they have sort of stricter accounting requirements of them, which was really great for us to hear, so that make it easier to provide better detail and more timely detail to the ethics board when it comes time for the reporting to come in. But the way that, like I said, the way it will work will be the same as before in terms of collecting the items and any funds for the items. The ABC committed that they're going to have a dedicated account for these funds, and anything that comes in is going to go towards purchasing items for families, or to support there's a toy drive event that the council president's office is organizing. And I think I just saw we have a tentative date in the first week of December for that. And at that event is a little bit, extra. There's in-kind donations from like Starbucks and Blondie's Donuts and things like that to encourage people to come out to the event. And so we've documented that in reporting that we've done the last couple of years as well. So that is so again, like the sort of function of it isn't going to change very much, but ABC is a more professional accounting fiscal sponsor. I think is going to make this work a lot better for everybody involved.
Great. Questions, discussion?
Yes, Mr. DeGraffenreich, right? Am I saying your name right?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm John McCauley. I have I'm not familiar with what you've done in the past years, since I'm new to the board this year. So pardon any questions that are sort of already territory gone over before. But in terms of cash or monetary donations, what's the root of that? Does money get placed into the hands of people in the city council's office and then transferred to Associated Black Charities, or does it go directly to Associated Black Charities?
It will go directly to Associated Black Charities. I'm not aware of any time when there's been like actual cash that's been donated. But to the extent that there's cash or check received, that so I'll say I know for sure that when, for example, a check has been received, sometimes that is facilitated through the council president's office, but the check is delivered directly, within a business day to the fiscal sponsor. So if there's any cash, like I said, I'm not aware of any time it's been by cash. It will get delivered directly to ABC, well, from the council president's office to ABC as quickly as possible. What I know that the way that the folks running it encouraged people was to do donations by PayPal and things like that. And one thing that ABC told us that they're going to do this year is they're setting up an Amazon wish list, so that people can, if you're right, you're inclined to give money, you're going to see the menu sort of options to support, and instead of giving money, people can just click through something on Amazon and sort of eliminate that problem.
And if checks come, I'm sorry, if checks come in, who are they written to? I mean, who's the payee on the checks?
The payee is going to be Associated Black Charities.
I see. Okay. And then I'm sorry, Stephen, I just have one other question, if that's okay.
Good. No, play through for sure.
Okay. who makes the decisions on how and to whom the gifts and funds are distributed? I mean, who's deciding that?
It's a good question. So I think the most direct answer to your question is going to be that's going to be between ABC and the movement team, because like I said, the movement team already sort of organizes for students. It's primarily through Baltimore City schools, not necessarily all public schools, but schools in the city, I should say, and different rec center programs in the city, to have students and their families come to either City Hall in the past or at facilities that the movement team is sort of rented to facilitate distribution of the gifts. So those are the primary recipients of the donations.
And this is truly my last question. Sorry, you never believe a lawyer when he says he has one more question. This is my last question. What is the reason why this is basically a Toys for Tots kind of program? Why is this being run or affiliated with the city council president's office as opposed to a private charity, or like U.S. Marine Corps does it? Or I'm not sure why the city government is getting involved in this.
That's a good question.
Ignorance on my part.
Absolutely. I guess the way I think the best way to answer your question is that the council president, when he was a council person for the 7th district, he would support and sort of identify, toy drives and these sort of charitable efforts around the holidays that he wanted to support. And this is the same thing there. It's not as much of the city council president's office sort of standing up a program as much as the council president and the council president's office supporting existing, toy drives. And in order for us to do that, we need to go through this process to get permission to encourage people to participate and encourage people to donate. So it's sort of a situation where people would not necessarily know to donate to, the movement team's efforts or to support something like that, but for the distribution list that the council president's office keeps and the way that this office's involvement can support it.
Thank you.
Thank you. You asked my question and you answered my question, Counselor. So is there any other questions for Mr.
Yeah.
McGrath?
I have a question, if I may. Sarah, do you think that the process will be made stronger or weaker by virtue of the council president's name or position being associated with it? Just out of curiosity, what do you think?
You're asking, you're asking, will the toy drive in general be stronger because of the council presidency?
Yes.
I think it would be stronger. Yes, I think it would be stronger.
Okay. Okay. So so his name is probably mentioned. He's mentioned by name as opposed and with his title as a secondary identifier.
I can actually, if you bear with me just a moment, I can pull up what we submitted for last year's back to school drive report. No, that's the wrong. Yes. Where we can show you the past solicitation letters that we sent out.
Okay. And what you're like a very brilliant man, so I figure you're probably a multitasker. While you're doing that, can I also ask, is one response to this gift cards?
What do you mean in response to gift
That is,
cards?
well, instead of toys, might a person just send in a gift card?
No, it's entirely
Mhm.
possible that somebody might, I think that if there were to be a gift card that got sent in, that that's a good question, honestly. I think we would have to, that's a good question. We should probably talk to the ABC about and how they would handle it, because to the extent that they could, my inclination is that what they should do would be to find a way to convert it to, or I guess to use it immediately, because the what we've done in the past, the direction we got from ethics board in the past is that we had to, or excuse me, the fiscal sponsor had to make sure they had a dedicated account that wouldn't commingle any funds, and there's not really a way to do that when you receive a gift card. So I'm not. I think they would either need to sort of show that they spent the money right away, or some kind of way get the monetary value. And I'm sorry, if you don't mind, may I share my screen for just a
Yes,
moment?
sir.
I can show you the this is an example of what the council president's office sent out last year. So, it has the council president Mosby's name up here with the logo, and even has a picture of him included on it. So this goes out to the distribution list that's kept by the council president's communications team.
Okay. Thank you for showing that.
Absolutely.
And could we get a copy of that for our records, please?
Absolutely, no problem. I can send it to Ms. Romo.
Yeah, and I can actually, I have it. I pulled it up as well. That was part of the final report, so I can circulate that final report to the board after the meeting.
Great. All right. Any other questions for Mr. DeGraffenreich? All right.
Sorry, Steve. One more, just a comment. Easy comment. Mr. DeGraffenreich, as you probably know, in the past we've had an issue with gift card donations that kind of went sideways, and I'm sure that some thought will be given to not having that recur.
Absolutely. Very sensitive to that. And in fact, in one of the meetings we had with ABC, they were, one of the reasons why they were happy to do this for us is that they see this as an opportunity to also continue to clear their name, as they were implicated in the Healthy Holly scandal, several years ago. So I think everybody is looking forward to making sure that we run everything clean and above board.
Wonderful. Well said, sir.
Sir, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. You all have a great rest of the day.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay. We want to discuss this?
Yeah. And
Well,
so I probably need guidance just for one thing. In reference to it, I know Mr. DeGraffenreich very well. And as you know, I'm friends with Nick Mosby. I can be fan and partial, but I do not want the appearance of any impropriety. So I do want to disclose that and take guidance from Mr. Amberger and Ms. Romo.
well, let me just, obviously each of us were appointed by an elected official. So
Right.
the nature of the law that brings us here is that there's obviously, we're going to have to make decisions about requests by sometimes the very elected official who appointed you to this board. And so I don't think you need to recuse yourself in that matter.
Right.
It's also a mid-sized city and people know people. It really comes
Correct.
down to you, are you, do you have prejudice on an issue because it's a program you're involved with? Do you volunteer for the toy drive? Things like that, I would think would be a little closer to the flame. But
Right.
I don't need to offer my advice, but it's the laws that made us come together today.
Right.
Require us to be appointed by election. So,
I agree. I just wanted to make sure everything was on record. And also, I don't believe I wasn't appointed by Nick Mosby, so just to add that for okay, so we can go forward.
All right, any discussion?
I do
Well-
have one question.
Go ahead, Noel.
Is this the presentation given by Mr. DeGraffenreid Reed today, is that pretty much the same as it was last year?
With the exception of the change of charity, yes.
Oh,
And I do believe, he said this is the third, but that's the third time or third year that council president has been Mr. Mosby. But I believe that in some way, shape, or form, this program's been going on for decades. I think the mayor's office might have even led the drive at one point. For years, an Amazon 18-wheeler pulls up to the cobblestone steps at City Hall, and the Santa delivery drivers get out. So, it's been going on for a long time. And so I'm familiar with it.
I can say that, so Aaron DeGraffenreid, his reports are phenomenal. They're very detailed. The last report was filed a little bit late. I think that's what caused the change in the fiscal sponsor. They're having issues getting the reporting information. My only concern was that some of the names of people who donated were illegible. So he's looking into that issue, and so that's something that if the board were to approve this, we would just make sure that all donors are sufficiently identified. They could come up with a better process for people signing if they donate. But beyond that, everything is relatively consistent throughout the years, and we haven't had any issues. And the mayor's office does a toy drive pretty much simultaneously. So these toy drives are very common in the city.
So I guess my only comment is I'll bow to precedent if it's been done before and approved. I guess I get a little queasy thinking about politicians putting themselves in the position to take donations, either in kind or gift cards or possible cash, for the ostensible benefit of what we can all agree is an excellent cause. It strikes me as maybe entirely unnecessary to have city council presidents or mayors involved in these things. And it seems to be done for public relations purposes. I'm sure there's good intentions as well, and everybody wants to see kids get toys for Christmas, and if they can contribute to that, then they feel good about it. I will just say, it makes me a little uneasy when we're setting up a program for things that really sometimes can't be controlled, cash, or as Arnold pointed out, gift cards, or even presents that come into the office itself from people. And we all know with Mayor Dixon, it was controlled donors who were bringing in those gift cards. They were developers and other folks who had business with the city. So anyway, but I'll bow to precedent on this one and go along with what has been done before, if that's the sense of the board.
one question I would have, is there any concern by the board that this may, the prominent identification of the council president on the literature that is going out in a, at the cusp or at the beginning of an election season may have some implication in there? I don't know if that is something for the board to consider or just to, that it has a little bit of, handing out free things to the children of the potential electorate. So that would be my only concern on this, other than the scattering of the efforts between the mayor, council president. I believe the state's attorney's office used to do a toy drive too. So,
in reference to the gift cards, is this on mute? No. It's similar to me as cash, and I think, did Mr. DeGraffenreich say his plan for cash was for it to go directly to the charity?
yes.
I could see that being the same requirement for the gift cards. That way it could alleviate a lot of the concern of a politician touching the gift cards. As to toy drives, this reminds me of, and correct me if I'm wrong, do a lot of the electeds do school drives as well? Okay.
Yep,
Yes.
actually, the council president does the annual toy drive or school drive in August, or the mayor's office. I'm sorry, the mayor's office does it, and that just happened.
The
Okay.
back, yeah, school supplies.
And do they get gift cards, and how do they handle that?
They this year, I have to pull up the report. I can't think off the top of my head, but if I remember correctly, it was donations from larger companies like Under Armour donated 400 backpacks, something like that. So it was all in-kind donations, if I remember correctly, and there were relatively few donors. But I have to revisit that report.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion?
No, well, one comment, I guess, and I thought that Mr. DeGraffenreich was probably one of the most competent and seemingly reliable persons we've had come before us in terms of his application and his ability to answer questions directly. So that gives me some comfort.
All right. Based on precedent and what appears to be a relatively well-regulated program in the past, I will move to approve the waiver request for the council president's office in this matter.
A second.
Right. All in favor of approving the gift solicitation waiver for the council president's office signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
That's 4. Okay, that's 4. All right. Is our Ms. Hengerer here? Is she in?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, no problem. That is our new business other than the National Forum solicitation waiver. Should we go back to that?
Sure.
Finish business, and then we can talk about, we can get an officer's update, talk about the report, the annual report.
Perfect.
So if there's no objection, we'll move to the gift solicitation waiver application from the mayor's office for the National Forum of Black Administrators.
And it looks like, so this is specifically for this Faith Leach. I believe she's the city administrator officer. And this is for her to fundraise for the National Forum for Black Public Administrators annual conference. Specifically, she would be on the fundraising committee, and I believe it's hosted by the city, the event. That's why she would like to solicit donations. And then the National Forum for Black Public Administrators would serve as the fiscal sponsor. However, I invited her to the meeting. I don't believe she will be joining, but that just is a little bit of context.
Right, and I've looked at the application for approval. Does anyone have any discussion on this?
What is that organization? I don't know. I'm not familiar with that organization that she's fundraising on behalf of.
It's probably a trade organization like any other. It's a Black Public Administration, and it's like the profit.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the organization. We were just provided what was in the application. I'm not sure if the board would want, for her to come perhaps to the next meeting, or if the application is sufficient.
Yeah, they're a downtown DC national trade and probably advocacy organization. DC is filled with the National Association of Everything. So.
And was there a reason that the applicant was not appearing? And in other words, did she couldn't make it because of a schedule, or because she thought it was unnecessary, or?
So her staff member submitted the application, and I had sent the invitation to the staff member asking if the staff member or Faith Leach herself or a member of the office would be able to attend to provide additional information. And then I'm not sure where it went from there. Typically that's our typical response. So I can, if the board would like to hold off, I can follow up with their staff and ask for additional information, or ask them to join the next meeting. Let me see if there's a date in the.
I mean, the conference is in April of 2024.
Okay.
But they want to get started, well before that.
Let's invite Ms. Leach to attend and speak your piece.
Agreed.
Yeah, and it's not like we require anyone to appear. You know what I mean? That's not really a requirement, but certainly if we have questions that they're the best source to answer, then we do like to invite them to the next meeting. So is that what we want to do today?
Yes.
Very well. Okay. So we'll move that and send an invitation for the November session. So is that all of our business in the session, other than our officers update and our annual report? And we will need to, at some point, either when Ms. Hengerer joins us today in this session, approve the minutes of September 13th, or we'll go ahead and punt that to next month. Okay, so why don't we let the ethics officers take it away?
Sure. Well, I'll let Nishan handle metrics. Are you good to go, Nishan? All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I get shy. Let me pull it up. Give me 1 second. Okay. So for help desk requests, there were 76 help desk requests received and resolved by board staff in September. 9 help desk requests were from lobbyists. 8 were concerning gift solicitation waivers. 11 were concerning financial disclosure statements. 35 help desk requests were ethics inquiries. 2 were concerning the ethics training. 8 administrative questions, and 3 were not in the board's jurisdiction. And for fiscal year 24, there were 218 help desk requests. For the ethics training, 31 people completed the ethics training in September. For fiscal year 24, overall 145 ethics training attendees. For fiscal year 24, there were 24, Jesus God. There were 7 complaints, 4 open cases with 2 pending from last year, and 3 were dismissed. So far this year, for the secondary employment waivers, there are 0 granted waivers right now. for gift solicitation waivers. 3 gift solicitation waiver applications were submitted to the board for the October 11th 2023 board meeting. 2 gift solicitation waivers expired since the last board meeting. For fiscal year 24, there are 18 active waivers and 7 expired or rescinded waivers. And those are your metrics.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Great
And that
job.
will actually bring us right into our annual report. So that's the other part of the update. Our annual report, you all, I believe, saw the draft, which was circulated via email. We just wanted to formally bring it to the board, see if there's any concerns or if the board approves of it. And if so, we would post it on our website and our Twitter. I know there was a typo that John found. I've corrected that. I believe not on the version in the agenda, but that typo is corrected.
Yeah, this is second year in a row you've prepared these, is it not?
Yeah, actually, this is our 3rd year since the ethics board moved over to the OIG. And we generally post at the end of September, October.
They're so good. And you really know your way around.
It gets easier every year.
Yeah, we appreciate it. It's always good to do our annual thing we need to do, but we thank you for doing that each and every year.
Yep, and as a bit of context, we're required to create out and report on our work, and we're required to send it to the mayor and city council, and then we'll post it on our website for the public. So if the board doesn't have any issues, we would move forward with sharing it.
All right, any discussion on the contents of the annual report?
No, it was a great job. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it looked excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Perfect.
I vote so too.
Keep up the good work. Thank you. So now that we've got a quorum, now that we have 3 who were present at the last meeting, we definitely want to move to the approval of the written minutes of September 13th. At that time, there was Arnold, Melody, and myself at that meeting. So we'll need all of us to approve those minutes.
I move that we approve them.
Second?
Second.
Okay, between Arnold and Melody and myself, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Well, just as a quick correction, Noel was at the meeting,
It was
not
me.
Arnold.
Well,
I was like,
You-
did I remember this correctly? Wasn't I there? Okay, good. Yeah. I wasn't losing it. I was like, oh my gosh, I really
You're right.
I don't remember. Remember, I'm under the weather, so I was thinking like, oh gosh.
Sorry.
Okay.
Then let's revote. All in favor of the September 13th approval of the minutes signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you very much. All right, so that takes us through our agenda for the public session. So if there's no objection, we'll go ahead and adjourn the public session at this time. Thank you.